Okay, good. So the point is here, let me show you the parts of the test first. We've talked, I think, in the previous 3 lessons, a little bit about the parts of listening. Okay, so I'm just going to cover these basics. I'll talk about the different parts, and then I'll talk a little bit about some of the specifics for each part. Okay, so the first thing you'll face, or the first thing you'll see on your exam day, is the listening test. It's the first thing you'll do. Starting with positive results, or starting with a good start, is something, of course, that will help you with the rest of the test, because on the same day you will do listening, reading, writing. Okay, so all of these, the 3, are on the same day. The speaking is either before them or most likely after them. So your exam day really starts with this paper. This is the first thing you'll see on your exam day, the section 1 of listening. So let me also share the other book. The objective, because it also has a nice intro. So I'll just remind you of the intro. All right. So let me go back to the beginning of the. Okay. So we talked a little bit about this before, but I'll talk very quickly about it again. So this is sort of a rough outline of your. It's a very rough outline, but it does show us a few things you need to keep in mind. Now, the first thing is the sections 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4. Now, section 1 and section 3 have something in common, and section 2 and section 4 also have something in common. Okay. Now, what section 1 and 2 have in common is that they are social. So it's always something social with section 1 and 2. It's either a hotel, it's either a restaurant, a cafe, someone wants to enroll in a course, something like this. In section 1, it's always like this. So section 1, it's always a conversation. This is for section 1. So when they tell you it's a conversation between 2 speakers, they're talking about section number 1, okay? So section 1, conversation between 2 speakers. Monologue, this is section 2. All right? So both section 1 and section 2 are social. So what we mean by social is the common everyday English that you use when you travel, the common everyday English you see on television, when you're watching your favorite series, or watching a movie, or I don't know, watching the news, whatever. It's regular, good old regular English. There's nothing strange, nothing difficult. So it's really your chance to sort of bank in all those easy to reach points or marks. So you shouldn't, ideally, especially section 1, ideally you shouldn't, I mean, I'm talking about candidates who are aiming 7 and above. You really don't have an excuse not to get 10 from 10 in section 1, especially section 1, because section 1 is so straightforward, it's so direct. It's a crime to make mistakes in section 1, to be honest. It's you should 10, 9 is the worst case scenario. You should get all the marks from section 1 because it's very straightforward. It's similar to the stuff that you get in course books. So you have point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then another track with the rest of the question. It's straightforward. Section 2, slightly harder because it's a monologue. So there's only one person speaking. Usually it's in a form of some kind of advertisement. There's usually an ad. So there's some kind of ad, and a person is speaking about something. or some kind of tour, or a tour guide is describing a map. There are maps sometimes in task 2, by the way. So, but it's still social. There's nothing academic in it. This is 1 and 2. Now, 3 and 4, this is where stuff becomes educational or academic, okay? Now, with section 3, you have, the problem with section 3 is that you have more than one speaker, and actually it says up to 4 people. So it's like a debate, or it's like a group chat or something. So you have a group of people and they're discussing something. This is section 3. So 3, you always have, you definitely have more than 2. 4, not always, but there's always more than 2. So either 3 speakers or 4 speakers. So you need to pay attention who's saying what, because the questions will depend on the people who are talking. This is section 3, and it's always like this. So you need to be really sharp, and you need to get it. Now with section 4, the last one, this is your monologue. So in reality, this means that section 1 and 3 are conversations, and section 2 and 4 are monologues. Section 1 and 2 are social. Section 3 and 4 are academic. 2 and 4 are monologues. So mono, let's just write mono here so you remember it. Okay, so here section 2 and 4, monologues. And of course here 1 and 3, dialogues. Okay, so this is a very rough outline of the type of tasks that you're going to see on your listening paper. Okay, now this part is also very important, maybe the most important part in the whole test. This part. Can you see this? Yeah.
Yes, it heard once.
Yeah.
The important thing is it's heard clearly and loudly, the voice. I don't know if they do speakers or headphones or what exactly.
When I did it in 2013, they were speakers. They were using speakers. They were clear. I had no problems. I have heard, to be honest, I have heard of some problems before. I've heard that the sound wasn't clear. Because remember that the people who control the test, these are invigilators. These are amateurs most of the time. Okay, they're just people who work part-time for the British Council. And most of the time it's like this. So these people, they just monitor. The invigilators, they just monitor the classes or the sections where people are doing their test. They just try to keep order, they keep time, and they play the tracks. But I have heard a couple of times some complaints. I couldn't verify them. I don't know if the complaints were legit or if there was just candidates making excuses, but I don't know, to be honest. From my experience, it was fine. I heard just fine, and the sound was clear. I didn't have any problems. But they don't use headphones. They use speakers. Unless they've changed this, I'm not sure. I don't know. But it is once for sure. It's definitely once. Okay, so this is something we really need to keep in mind. Now, with the questions themselves, they are the same type of questions we did in the reading section. So there's nothing new really with the questions. I mean, it's the same.
Yeah.
You have multiple choice questions, you have short answer questions, you have the complete family, complete. These are complete. And then you have the sort of choose kind of questions, choose, choose, choose. So there isn't much difference if we're speaking about the question types themselves. There isn't much of a difference. So, okay, we covered the types of questions. We covered which ones are dialogues, which ones are monologues.
So like 30 minutes, is that with the 10 minutes of
No, that's
answering?
yeah. Listening. They will give you an extra 10 minutes to do your to copy your answers. So you won't have a time issue. Listening, there's no time issue. You can only create a time issue for yourself if you're stubborn, and this is something we Libyans have in loads, in truckloads. So if you do this, you will cost yourself time, and of course you'll miss the answers, because the thing is, if you miss a question, and you think you've missed a question, the worst thing you can do is trying to answer it. You've missed it. It's not going to play again. If you're trying to think of something that passed, what's the point? You won't remember it. If you couldn't jot it down while you're still listening to it, you won't be able to do it anyways afterwards. So you need to be really, really flexible, and just the thing that you don't get it while you're actively writing. If you don't get it and you think you've missed it, you need to ignore it and wait for the next question. Okay. So with time, there isn't much of a time issue. Now there is something really important. If I take you back to the mock test book now. Now with the mock test book here in the real track, and we're going to do this just for fun. I'm going to play this for you just so you can see how it is, but I'm going to explain it in detail first. Now, what it says here is you need to pay attention to two important things. The first thing is something that you should be used to by now, which is this: the instructions to the question. How many words do they need? If they tell you no more than 3, you can use 1, you can use 2, you can use 3 words in your answers, but you need to pay super attention to how many words you're allowed. Because if you're going to use words, if your words exceed the words allowed by the question, you're not going to get a point for that question, even if it includes a correct answer. So you need to be extra careful here. This is the first thing. Then the second thing, and this is what we'll see today when you hear the track. Now, the track has the instructions with it, okay? So when I'm going to play it for you now, you will hear the examiner, or not the examiner, the track instructor, whatever it is. They will tell you you have 1 minute to read question number 1 to 5, or to 4, or to 6. Now, the thing is with section 1, 2, 3, with section 1 and 2 and 3, so let me just mark them. 1, 2, and 3 are always divided. So what I mean by divided is they never tell you to read, they never tell you to prepare for the whole 10 questions in advance. So let me explain again. So here in this track, what the instructions in the CD or in the track will say, they will tell you you have 1 minute to read question number 1 to 4 or 5 usually, probably 4 here, maybe 6. My point is, for each section, you have 2 tracks. Now you might ask, why is this important? What's the point? 2 tracks, 1 track. Does it make a difference? It makes a huge difference. Because when
you can read the questions before the recorder starts, right?
Yes. And the time and the instructions to read the question are in the recording itself. So the invigilator or the person monitoring your exam, they won't say anything. All they do is just press play, and they just stay and monitor. That's all. All the instructions, the whole thing is automatic. It runs it runs automatically, and they have all the instructions, and built in the instructions are the time gaps that you have, the time limits, or how much time they give you to read for each question. Now you might think, so what? I don't need to read the questions. It's a listening exercise. And that would be a huge mistake, because if you don't know what's coming, if you don't have even a small sense of expectation or what to expect from the words that you'll listen to, it's really impossible to answer, because they will never do them as course book exercises, right? Because in course book exercises, you have maybe 8 points in listening, and the recorder will say, number 1, and you answer. And then they'll say, number 2, right? This is the normal way listening tracks are played in books, in course books. Am I right?
Yeah.
Listening in IELTS is completely different. They don't tell you 1 or 2, or they don't say anything. The instructions before you listen, they will tell you prepare or read 1 to 5 or 1 to 6. Here I think it's 1 to 6. It's either 1 to 6. We will check. We will see this when we play it, but I'm just trying to guess, because it's either 1 to 4 or 1 to 6, because you can see clearly that point 5 and 6 are. So they might tell you read to here till this point. They might tell you read to this point. I'm not sure. We will see. Now, after they play this, you will have no idea where's 1, sorry, where's 2, where's 3, where's 4, unless you're writing while you're listening. It's done at the same time. It's not listen and then answer. No, your pen is on the gaps. When this is a real paper in front of you in the exam, your pen should be already on the gap. And when you think that word that is the right word, you just write it instantly and move instantly to the next gap and wait for the next word. It works like this. Now the benefit of the two-track system is once you get to 6, you get a little chance to breathe, and they'll tell you read number 7 to 10. So then you read 7 to 10, qualities required, something, ability to. What do you think this word is? Verb, noun, adjective. Ability to, I would say it's a verb.
A verb, yeah.
Yeah. Thursday at Thursday, interview arranged for Thursday, Thursday evening, Thursday
morning,
noun.
something. Yeah.
Maybe a noun.
Guessing, yeah. So it's
You have to do this in the short time they give you, which is about maybe 30 seconds to 1 minute before they play. They give you a nice gap. If you use this gap, this little time frame or time gap, if you use it wisely, you'll be able to sort of build an expectation or help yourself guess what word will come. So when it does come, you're much more prepared for it, and you'll just be able to jot it down very easily, very quickly, without wasting time. And this will increase the likelihood of you getting a correct answer. Now, this is the case with all sections, 1, 2, 3, they work like this. The 10 points per section, because remember, every section is 10 points, okay? Every section is 10 questions, okay? Now, this is nice and this is fun and everything. And till you get to, I'll show you the same thing for section 2. Now, take a look at section 2 here. Do you see? 11 to 16, this is together. So you have just 5 points. You need to prepare for these 5 points. After you prepare for these 5 points, in the recording itself, they'll tell you, listen to 11 to 16. And the whole thing goes together. There's no pause. There isn't any pause between 11 and 12, for example, or 13 and 14. Because it's a monologue. Remember, section 2 is a monologue. So the whole thing is one block of chatting, blah, 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 whatever it is. This is an ad, I think, this question. Then they'll tell you the track will stop and they'll tell you read 17 to 20. So you just check 17 to 20 and you prepare for the next track. Okay? This way we're done with 1 and 2. Then comes 3. The same thing with 3. Here you have 7 questions. They'll tell you choose the correct questions, choose the correct letter. So it's a multiple choice question. Yeah, but they don't do it in one go. Usually it's broken down, probably 1 to 7, and then 28 till 30. But we'll see about this. But I think it's not in one go. It's not all in one go. Section 4. This is the one that's usually in one go, like this article. It says no more than 2 words. So it's a complete question, but the whole thing is in one go. They don't separate the tracks. So the instructions in the recorder, they come as read question 31 to 40. You get the idea?
Yeah.
So you need to be on your feet to be able to do this. Now, if we want to play it, I think we can do this. I think we can do it here because I was thinking that you need to move. Do you have laptops with you?
Like what? Right now?
Yeah. I think it's unnecessary. We don't have to. We don't need a laptop, but I think we can do it without a laptop. The thing is, you just have to tell me when to move down, when to scroll down, because during that little time where they tell you read question da 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 da, you need to be able to complete reading before you listen. Right? So so whenever you need me to scroll, just tell me scroll. Okay, because the track will be playing, and once the track plays, we won't stop it.
So like, what are we going to interrupt and say scroll? and the track is playing. Okay, or there's like the sign in the chat, like maybe thumbs up means scroll something.
Yeah, I'll just keep the chat window open. Maybe let's do this. Let's see. Okay, let's put this on the side. And let's make it a little smaller. But it disappears. Okay, it's back. But you can say scroll, I think.
Okay.
Even if it's playing, I think you can say scroll. Okay, so we're going to use number 1 as an example anyway. So even if we mess up, it doesn't really matter because number 1 is sort of easy to do. But I think you really need to have a notebook, pencil, pen, notebook, something to write on. Rima too, if you're with us, you really need something to write on. It's impossible without writing this one. Last point, I forgot to talk about spelling. If you have a spelling error, a mistake, you're going to lose your point. It needs to be written. It needs to be written correctly. If you have a spelling problem, you're going to have a problem with the listening. You're going to lose marks. And I know many people who've lost lots of marks because their spelling. One of them is Fizani, by the way. Fizani's oral skills are quite good. He's a good listener. He's a good speaker, but his spelling is not good. So he loses lots of marks when we do these mock tests, these listening mock tests. So you need to, if you've got, I don't think you have at this level, but some people have spelling issues. If you do, it's going to ruin your marks in listening. You need to have the right spelling for the right words. Another issue is your answers have to be grammatical, right? So if your answer isn't grammatical, it isn't right. It's just like reading. So here, for example, take section 2. I knew something of an international good sports good company. I knew what? What do you expect this word to be? I think they can even guess it without even listening to this one. I knew what? What do you expect, Arya?
I don't know. A new, I don't know. I can't guess actually. It's got to be something, a noun or something. I don't know.
It is a noun. It's definitely a
Yeah.
noun because you have an adjective before it. And then you have of. So a new part, a new store, new branch, a new
Maybe branch
a
sounds
new center. Center not so much. Branch is, it looks good, branch here. Do you see the idea? You need to have this little guess thing. Located in the shopping center to the, of Brad, to the, located, to the,
yeah.
right,
left,
north, south,
direction.
southeast, some kind of direction here. Has sports and equipment on, sports utilities, sports merchandise, sports something, and equipment on floors. It's a noun. It's sports something. Okay, so this is how it usually works. Your answers have to make sense. They have to be spelled right, and they need to be grammatical. So I'm going to play this, and also they usually give you an example. They tell you example 1, da, 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 da. So they give you number 1 as an example, and then they start. So I'm just going to play the real thing so you can see how it sounds like. And I'm just going to change the screen here. Okay. Okay, tell me if it's clear enough. It should be clear. Maybe we can switch this on. Okay, so let's listen.
Cambridge IELTS 9 by University of Cambridge ESOL examinations.
Is it clear? Is the
yeah, it's very clear for me.
Nice.
Rima?
Maybe Rima is asleep.
Yes.
Did she say it's clear?
Yeah, she wrote in the chat, yes.
Okay, I'm just joking. I keep saying I know she's paying attention, but all right. Okay, so let's go back to the book. Let's go back. Now let's listen to this. I'll put this on the side.
Published by Cambridge University Press. This recording is copyright. CD 1. Test 1. You will hear a number of different recordings, and you will have to answer questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions and questions, and you will have a chance to check your work. All the recordings will be played once only. The test is in 4 sections. At the end of the test, you will be given 10 minutes to transfer your answers to an answer sheet. Now turn to section 1. Section 1. You will hear a man phoning to inquire about a job vacancy. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 4.
Okay, so I'm just going to interrupt here. So it's 1 to 4. Did you see this?
Yeah.
This is what I was wondering about. Is it 1 to 4 or is it 1 to 6? This means 1 to 4 are together and 5 to 10 are together, okay? So I just want to see how many seconds, and I want you to pay attention to the second counter here to just to see how long they give you to read from number 1 to 4. So let's go back a little bit.
1 to 4.
Okay, so she stopped talking at 26. Let's see how long they give us.
You will see that there is an example that has been done for you.
Did you see how long they gave you?
I don't know, but I felt it was long.
It was 20 seconds.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, 20 seconds for 4 points is about okay. Especially this kind of question, like I said, it's social and it's straightforward. You shouldn't miss any points here. Okay, so now she'll talk a little bit about the example. Let's listen to what she says.
On this occasion only, the conversation relating to this will be played first. Good evening, King's Restaurant.
Good evening. I'm ringing about the job I understand you have vacant.
Oh, yes. The job vacancy is at a restaurant, so a restaurant has been written in the space. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 4. Good evening, King's Restaurant.
Good evening. I'm ringing about the job I understand you have vacant.
Oh, yes.
I'd like to find out a few more details, if I may.
Yes, of course. Can I take your name?
It's Peter Chin.
Okay, Peter. Well, if you want to ask about the job, and then if we're both still interested, we could arrange for you to come for an interview.
Great, thanks. I'm afraid I missed the advert for the job, but heard about it from a friend.
That's no problem at all. What would you like to know?
Well, what sort of work is it? Washing up?
It's answering the phone.
Oh, right, fine.
And not waiting at tables.
That'd be good. And how many nights a week would it be?
Well, we're really only busy at the weekend.
So 2 nights?
3, actually, so it would work out at 12 hours a week.
That'd be fine. It wouldn't interfere with my studies.
Are you at the university?
Yes, first-year physics student.
Oh, right.
And because I'm not an EU national, would I need a work permit?
Yes, you would. Just get your tutor to sign it.
That wouldn't be a problem if I were to get the job. Where exactly is the restaurant?
Well, we have 2 branches. The one we're recruiting for is in Hillsdon Road.
I don't know that. How do you spell it, please?
It's HILLSDUNNE Road.
Got that. Thanks. Is it near a bus stop?
Yes, the nearest one would probably be just beside the library.
Oh, yes, I know it. That'd be fine for me. And could I ask about the pay?
We're offering £4.45 an hour.
That's very good. My last job was £3.95 an hour.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 5 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 5 to 10. We feel it's pretty good, and we also offer some good fringe benefits.
Really?
Well, we give you a free dinner, so you eat well.
Right. Better than hostel food.
We certainly hope so. And we also offer extra pay for working on national holidays.
Oh, that's a really good perk, isn't it?
Yes, we think so. And then because of the difficulties of getting public transport, if you're working after 11 o'clock, we drive you home.
Oh, that's good to know.
Well, we'd certainly be interested in inviting you for an interview if you're still interested.
Oh, yes, certainly. Could I just also ask what qualities you're looking for?
Well, for this particular job, we want a clear voice, which you obviously do have.
Thanks.
And you must be able to think quickly, you know.
Well, I hope I...
So when could you come in for an interview? We're actually quite quiet tonight.
Sorry, I couldn't come tonight. Or tomorrow, I'm afraid. Thursday's okay. That'd be 22nd of October.
Fine. After 5 p.m.?
Yes, fine. Would 6 o'clock be okay?
Perfect. And could you bring along the names of 2 referees?
Yes, that's fine. No problem.
Good. I look forward to seeing you.
Oh, by the way, who should I ask for?
Oh, yes, of course. Sorry. My name is Samira Manuja.
Can you spell that, please?
Manuja.
Okay. I've got that. Thanks very much.
Look forward to seeing you later on then.
Okay.
That is the end of section 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Sorry, what did you say?
I said scroll if she's going to continue on,
That's
or
it.
are you going to stop?
That's it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Did you get all the answers?
I think so.
Yeah. So this is, it's still playing, by the way, because like I said, in a real test, you still, after you finish, they give you a free minute. This free minute
Now
is
turn
just,
to section 2.
so like I said, it's all automatic. I know I'm interrupting it now, but just to show you the process. So let's very quickly review what the process. Before we go to the answer section, I just want to get you into the right mindset of how this works and what to expect on your real exam day. So like you've seen just now, they start with an example. So they tell you this is an example. Then what they did was they separated the 10 points into 2 tracks. The first track was from 1 to 4, and for 1 to 4 they gave us 20 seconds. And then I counted from 5 to 10. From 5 to 10 they gave you 30 seconds to read. So this is the sort of pre-listening. They give you these, and these pre-listening seconds are really, really important. They help you expect what's coming, okay? After that, they give you another 30 seconds. This is the post-listening. So if we write them here, so if we count the whole thing for 10 points, for the 10 points, they gave you a total. Let's increase the size of this. So they gave you 50 seconds for 10 points. For 10 questions, let's call them. So this is sort of your pre-listening time. Then the sort of post-listening listening time. This is after the whole thing is done. They give you 30 seconds or 10 questions. This is how it was for section 1. This is what we just experienced here. And it's separated, okay? And again, like the little classification we just saw in the other book. So section 1 is social. It's always a conversation. It's a conversation and it's always social. So this is section 1. We're not going to check the answers just yet because we want to check all of them together, but we I want to break down the test part by part. So this way you're familiar with the whole thing. You don't need to do another lesson on listening after this one, I hope. And the type of question we used this time was a complete question. All right? I think things are fairly clear until now, right?
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump to the next section. Keep your answers, of course. Now let's do the second section and let's listen to the instructions.
Section 2. You will hear part of a radio program about the opening of a new local sports shop. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16.
Okay, again, separated 11 to 16, so we have 5 points. Let's see how much time she gives us.
11 to 16. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 16.
Okay, those were 25 seconds. Did you manage to read the whole thing, Aya, Rima? Did you get a chance to read all of them?
Yes.
In the time they gave you?
Yes.
Okay.
For me, yes.
Rima, let's see what she says. What is the chat thingy? Yes, okay, that's great news, that's good. This is the whole point of the seconds, you need to read. All right, let's listen to the track.
Now we go to Jane, who is going to tell us about what's happening in town this weekend.
Right, thanks, Andrew. And now on to what's new. And do we really need yet another sports shop in Bradcaster? Well, most of you probably know Sports World, the branch of a Danish sports goods company that opened a few years ago. It's attracted a lot of custom, and so the company has now decided to open another branch in the area. It's going to be in the shopping centre to the west of Bradcaster, so that will be good news for all of you who found the original shop in the north of the town hard to get to. I was invited to a special preview, and I can promise you, this is the ultimate in sports retailing. The whole place has been given a new minimalist look with the company's signature colours of black and red. The first 3 floors have a huge range of sports clothing as well as equipment. And on the top floor, there's a cafe and a book and DVD section. You'll find all the well-known names, as well as some less well-known ones. If they haven't got exactly what you want in stock, they promise to get it for you in 10 days, unlike the other store, where it can take up to 14 days. They cover all the major sports, including football, tennis, and swimming. But they particularly focus on running, and they claim to have the widest range of equipment in the country. As well as that, a whole section of the 3rd floor is devoted to sports bags, including the latest designs from the States. If you can't find what you want here, it doesn't exist. Before you hear the rest of the program, you have some time to look at questions 17 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 17 to 20.
Did you manage to finish the whole thing before she started?
Kind of. I reached the last question, actually.
Because this is where skimming comes in use, because skimming, you will need it just as much as you might have needed it in reading. You will need it here as well. I don't know about Rima. Did you manage to read this, Rima, in the time before she talked? Before she started? Rima is offline. Yes, no. Yes and no at the same time. Ah, that was the previous yes. No, it's not the previous yes. I don't know what it means, Rima, yes, no, but I'm going to go back to the question now. Okay, so let me play this. Let me play this and let's see. Let's see if you can get all the answers. Let's start.
The shop will section 2.
Sorry.
On to what's new. And do it to open another. They promise to get it for you in section of the 3rd floor is devoted to the rest of the program. Now listen and answer questions 17 to 20. The shop will be open from 9 a.m. this Saturday. And if you go along to the opening, then you'll have the chance to meet the national 400 meters running champion, Paul King, who's coming along to open the shop. And he will be staying around until about midday to chat to any fans who want to meet him and sign autographs. Then there will be a whole range of special attractions all weekend. There will be free tickets for local sporting events for the first 50 customers, and also a special competition open to all. Just answer 15 out of 20 sports questions correctly to win a signed copy of Paul King's DVD, Spring Tips, while the first person to get all the questions correct gets a year's free membership of the Broadcaster Gym. All entrants will receive a special sports calendar with details of all broadcaster fixtures in the coming year. One of the special opening offers is a fitness test, a complete review of your cardiac fitness and muscle tone, actually done in the shop by qualified staff. This would normally cost £30, but is available at half price for this month only. There are only a limited number of places available for this, so to make a booking, phone 560-341. In addition, if you open an account, you get lots more special offers, including the chance to try out equipment at special open evenings. That is the end of section 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Okay, what do you think this time?
I think for the MCQ ones, it was kind of like, it was okay. But then when the question number 22 pieces, I had to listen really carefully what she's saying.
Yeah.
That's okay overall.
All right, okay. Rima, same thing. Is it okay? I mean, do you get how it works, the questions? Anything which is unclear until now? Okay, things are clear, good. Again, I don't want you to worry too much about getting right answers or wrong answers. It's not really the point now. Think of this as more as orientation. We just want to know how it works, the parts. So you see they divide it into two. The same thing that happened with section 1. It's the same thing they did here. They divided them. They give you time before each section, and things work normally from there. And they also give you, like I said, the pre-listening time, and they also give you the post-listening time. So you also have about 30 seconds. You might ask, what's the point of the 30 seconds after we've answered? What do you think? What do you think, Aya, the point might be, or what advantage would this give you?
I don't know, maybe check the spellings. I don't know if it was a complete answer, but for this one,
maybe no.
I'd go through the answers again, probably. So
yes, you could go through the answers again, Or maybe what I used to do is, for example, here, do you see the two, for example, in MCQ here, maybe A, I chose A, but I'm sort of a little doubtful of B. Then I do the same thing here. I'm sort of almost sure of C, but I have a small doubt of A. And then here I chose this and I chose this. I'm telling you about my process. This is how I used to work. And then this, I'm not so sure of it. Then in those 30 seconds, I make my final decision. Should I ignore that sort of extra option or go with it? Spelling, like you said, if it's a writing, if it's a complete question, spelling, you might use that very short time to, or just take a breath, prepare section 3, and just sort of get ready to prepare for the next question. Either way, just use it. That's the point. Now, section 3.
I was going to ask about. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. What's your question?
I was the complete question, like if it's like a name or something, you should write it in like capital. So like if it's not in capital, do they take the point off?
No, I don't think so.
Do they focus on these things?
No. The issue with the capital and small is not a problem. But your handwriting needs to be clear, needs to be legible, and needs the examiner needs to be able to understand what you're writing. So if you're a cursive writer, better drop it. Just write regularly. Don't use cursive handwriting. All right. So now, again, very quickly with section 1, it was a conversation and it was social. Section 2, it was a monologue. So the radio presenter, she spoke throughout the whole thing on her own, right? In the beginning, her colleagues or fellow or whoever, he introduced her, but then the whole thing, the whole exercise is only one speaker, and she was just telling us all about this this sports shop. So it was a monologue, section 2. Now, section 3, this is the one that's done in groups, and from section 3, academic, it starts to become academic, educational, scientific, this kind of thing. Okay. So now let's prepare for our next track.
Section 3. 2 overseas students called Spiros and Hiroko have just finished the first semester of their university course. They are discussing with their English language teacher how they coped with the course. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 25.
Before we start, Spiros and Hiroko, thanks for coming in today to talk about your recent study experiences. And congratulations to you both in doing so well in your first semester exams.
Thank you.
I'd like to discuss with you the value of the English for Academic Purposes course you did here last year before starting your university course. Spiros, if I could start with you, what parts of the program have now proved to be particularly valuable to you?
I think that having to do a seminar presentation really helped me. For example, a couple of weeks ago in our marketing subject, when it was my turn to give a presentation, I felt quite confident. Of course, I was still nervous, but because I had done one before, I knew what to expect. Also, I know I was well prepared, and I had practiced my timing. In fact, I think that in relation to some of the other people in my group, I did quite a good job, because my overall style was quite professional. What about you, Hiroko?
That's interesting. In my group, I was really surprised by the way the students did their presentations. They just read their notes aloud. Can you believe that? They didn't worry about their presentation style or keeping eye contact with their audience. And I remember that these things were really stressed to us in the course here.
So how did you approach your presentation, Hiroko?
Well, to speak frankly, I read my notes too. At the time, it was a relief to do it this way, but actually when I had finished, I didn't feel any real sense of satisfaction. I didn't feel positive about the experience at all.
That's a pity. You know, although I was pleased with my presentation, I am not so pleased with my actual performance right now in the tutorials. During the whole semester, I've not said anything in our tutorial discussions. Not a word.
Really, Spiros? Why is that? Do the other students talk too much?
It's partly that, but it's mostly because I have had no confidence to speak out. Their style of speaking is so different. It's not the style we were used to during the course. They use so many colloquialisms. They're not very polite, and sometimes there seems to be no order in their discussion. Also, they are very familiar with each other. So, because they know each other's habits, they can let each other into the discussion.
You're right, Spiros. I've experienced that too.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 26 to 30.
Okay, before we go to the next section of part 3, this one, what do you think of these 5 points?
It was okay, but the answers are like, there's a trick in them.
Not just a trick. All of them are the same. They actually
They're close. They're saying everything actually.
Yes.
A, B, and C. So like, yeah.
Yeah,
You have to be really focused.
The question is A, B, and C. All of them are in the answer. And if you answer all of them, it sort of makes sense because they speak about all of them. This is the trick they do. They mention all of them. There is no not given here in a way. They're all given. But one of them is where the emphasis is, or where it's more relevant to the question, or the one that the speaker sort of decides on. The rest are sometimes mentioned in passing, and it's not the point they want. So there is a bit of a trick. So they do mention all of them, but not only one is the answer you need for the question. Rima, are you still okay with where we're going? Do you get the point of the multiple choice question? Is it okay? Let's wait for our feedback. Shall we go to the next one, Rima? Okay, Rima is quiet again. Okay, so let's move to the next section. Let's move to the next section. Let me give you the time they want you to take.
Is that section 3?
You have some time to look at.
Yeah.
We're still in section 3. We did the first half of 3. Now this is the second part of 3. Okay, so we're still at 3. And let me clear the page. Okay, so now we're going to do the last part, the last 3 sections. Last question from 3, I mean.
Questions 26 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 26 to 30.
For most of this semester, I've said absolutely nothing in tutorials. But recently, I've been trying to speak up more, and I just jump in. And I've noticed an interesting thing. I've noticed that if they thought my point was interesting on you, then the next time they actually asked for my opinion. And then it was much easier for me to be part of the discussion.
Oh, that's great, Hiroko. I hope that happens for me next semester. I'll have to work hard to find some interesting points. What helped you to find these ideas?
I think that one thing that helped me with this was the reading. I've had to do so much reading this semester just to help me make sense of the lectures. At first, I couldn't understand what the lectures were talking about, so I had to turn to the books and journals. Every night, I read for hours, using the lists of references that were given, and I made pages of notes. At breakfast, I read and read my notes again. This habit has helped me to follow the ideas in the lectures, and it's also given me some ideas to use in the tutorials.
But I did so much reading anyway. I don't think there's any time left over for anything extra. My reading speed is still quite slow, though I'm much better at dealing with vocabulary than I used to be.
What else do you think we could add to the course program to help with this reading problem?
There's not really anything because it's my problem. I remember we were given long articles to read. We didn't like that, but now I realize that reading those long articles was good preparation for the things I need to read now. Also, in class, we regularly had speed reading tasks to do, and we kept a record of our reading speed, so the teachers were encouraging us to work on that.
That's true, Spiros, but what we read could have been different. Sometimes in the English class, I felt frustrated when I had to read articles about the environment or health or education, because I wanted to concentrate on my own field, but we didn't read anything about engineering. So I think I wasted some time learning vocabulary I didn't need.
But surely the strategies you were taught for dealing with that vocabulary were helpful?
Yes, but psychologically speaking, I would have felt much better working on reading from my own field. What do you think, Spiros?
Oh, I agree. That would have helped my confidence too, and I would have been more motivated. It was good, though, that we could work on our own topics when we wrote the research assignments.
Okay, let's move on to writing now.
That is the end of section 3.
Okay, what's your opinion on this? What do you think? Rima.
The same as before, with the answers.
Yeah, again, they trick you. They talk about all
But
of them.
overall, when you get to it and get used to it, it gets easier.
Yeah, because all of them are mentioned. This is the thing you need to keep an eye on. All the 3 points are going to be mentioned one way or another, but it's not what you need. You need to sort of know what you're waiting for. This increases the importance of the pre-listening reading even more. This is why it's crucial, it's essential that that those 20 or 30 seconds they give you, the pre-listening seconds, you use them and try to skim through the whole thing. And also you need to, when reading questions, you need to be really specific. Let's take 26. Why is Hiroko feeling more positive about tutorials now? So there's a change now compared to the past. So you need to pay attention to the question. The same thing here. To help her understand lectures, Hiroko, what did she do? She must have done something to help her. That has helped her. So you need to also pay attention to the questions and know where the key or the thing they're looking for is. All right, and also you've noticed, I'm sure you've noticed the shift from the section 1 and 2, the social.
3 speakers.
But this is one thing, 3 speakers we have here, but also the nature of the discussion. It's academic. They're talking about their semesters and their language learning and their courses, and they sound like foreign exchange students or maybe foreign students, right? So the whole thing is academic already. Okay, now our last section. Keep in mind this thing, they will not separate it. They'll do the whole thing 31 to 40. Okay, so let me play the track for you.
Section 4. You will hear part of a lecture about a problem related to the behavior of certain sea creatures. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40.
All right, so it's the whole thing together. This means when you get to 37, just tell me and I'll scroll, okay?
Okay. If you can scroll.
Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Good afternoon, everyone. Well, with some of you about to go out on field work, it's timely that in this afternoon's session, I'll be sharing some ideas about the reasons why groups of whales and dolphins sometimes swim ashore from the sea right onto the beach and, most often, die in what are known as mass strandings. Unfortunately, this type of event is a frequent occurrence in some of the locations that you'll be traveling to, where sometimes the tide goes out suddenly, confusing the animals. However, there are many other theories about the causes of mass strandings. The first is that the behavior is linked to parasites. It's often found that stranded animals were infested with large numbers of parasites. For instance, a type of worm is commonly found in the ears of dead whales. Since marine animals rely heavily on their hearing to navigate, this type of infestation has the potential to be very harmful. Another theory is related to toxins or poisons. These have also been found to contribute to the death of many marine animals. Many toxins, as I'm sure you're aware, originate from plants or animals. The whale ingests these toxins in its normal feeding behavior, but whether these poisons directly or indirectly lead to stranding and death seems to depend upon the toxin involved. In 1988, for example, 14 humpback whales examined after stranding along the beaches of Cape Cod were found to have been poisoned after eating tuna that contained saxitoxin, the same toxin that can be fatal in humans. Alternatively, it has also been suggested that some animals strand accidentally by following their prey ashore in the confusion of the chase. In 1995, David Thurston monitored pilot whales that beached after following squid ashore. However, this idea does not seem to hold true for the majority of mass strandings because examination of the animal's stomach contents revealed that most had not been feeding as they stranded. There are also some new theories which link strandings to humans. A growing concern is that loud noises in the ocean cause strandings. Noises such as those caused by military exercises are of particular concern and have been pinpointed as the cause of some strandings of late. One of these, a mass stranding of whales in 2000 in the Bahamas, coincided closely with experiments using a new submarine detection system. There were several factors that made this stranding stand out as different from previous strandings. This led researchers to look for a new cause. For one, all the stranded animals were healthy. In addition, the animals were spread out along 38 kilometers of coast, whereas it's more common for the animals to be found in a group when mass strandings occur. A final theory is related to group behavior and suggests that sea mammals cannot distinguish between sick and healthy leaders and will follow sick leaders, even to an inevitable death. This is a particularly interesting theory, since the whales that are thought to be most social, the toothed whales, are the group that strand the most frequently. The theory is also supported by evidence from a dolphin stranding in 1994. Examination of the dead animals revealed that, apart from the leader, all the others had been healthy at the time of their death. Without one consistent theory, however, it is very hard for us to do anything about this phenomenon except to assist animals where and when we can. Stranding networks have been established around the world to aid in rescuing animals and collecting samples from those that could not be helped. I recommend John Connor's Marine Mammals Ashore as an excellent starting point if you're interested in finding out more about these networks or establishing one yourself.
That is the end of section 4. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Okay.
Okay.
So what's different this time?
Only one is talking, so.
Yes. So so section 4.
And he's going through it continuously, so it's not stopping.
Yeah, this is the main thing, that there's no stop. The track is played it's just one run, no breaks in the track, right? And like you said, it's a monologue, so it's similar to the radio monologue about the sports store in section 2. So this means 2 and 4 are monologues, like we saw earlier. What about the nature of the topic itself? What do you think of the topic itself?
Interesting.
It's interesting.
It's always got to do with something like the climate, nature, geography, something like that.
Yeah, that's the thing, because all the topics.
Just like the reading thing.
Exactly, yes, it's the same. They're academic, they're related maybe to life sciences, to the environment, to, I don't know, things like this usually, related to science in general. Okay? Are you ready to check your answers?
Okay.
Let's see, Rima. Are you back, Rima? Rima's been quiet for a while now. Okay, she's still quiet. Okay, so let's go to the answer section, and let's see your answers. Okay. All right, so let's compare. So what do you have for number 1? Aya?
Yeah, I wrote answering phone.
What did you write?
Answering phone, the phone. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so that's correct. Answering phone is correct. Answer.
What? Why have they put between brackets ing and the?
This means these are optional.
Aha, so if someone wrote answer phone.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I'm just wondering, answering phone. Answering phone. This might not be correct, by the way. Let's check it. It has to be grammatical, remember. And you answered answering phone. Answering phone.
Answering phone.
I think it's correct. But like I said, usually with the markers, the people who will mark this, they have more specific directions in their model answer. So they know which variation of this is accepted and which isn't. But generally speaking, the one between brackets, this is the optional word. So putting it or leaving it is optional. I think it's okay. What about number 2? Is it correct? So let's count this as correct. So let's put it here. What about the second one?
Second one, I did it right. Actually, she was spelling the road, so I did write the name of the road, Helsden. Maybe the spelling was not like I missed an N, but I did write the full thing, road, with it.
So if you missed
What's X? Why?
if you missed the letter, it's wrong.
No. Okay.
Yes. If you wrote it with just one N, it's wrong. You have to write it to the letter. If they spell it, it has to be exactly like they spelled it. One letter off is wrong. You won't get a mark for it. Library?
Yeah, library. It's easy.
What about the spelling?
Yes.
Okay. Number 4, is it right?
Yes.
Okay. National holidays?
National holiday. Holiday. Oh.
Holiday. If it's a holiday, let's just check. It's wrong.
Oh my God! Come on.
No, I'm serious. If it's a
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Wow.
Extra. Where is it? Extra pay when you work on national holidays. You have to be plural here. And another reason why this is not accepted is because if holidays was accepted, you would find, you know what you'd find? You'd find a little bracket around the S. So sometimes if the option between singular and plural is accepted, they give you a little brackets. So if you say car, okay. If you say cars, okay. But in this situation, since there's no bracket on the S, it means only the plural variation is accepted. So this would be counted as incorrect. They're very, very specific, by the way. So you need to be really careful in your answers. Okay, this one?
Okay.
Number 6?
Yeah, I got it right. I did after 11 o'clock.
Okay. Clear voice?
Clear voice, yes.
Did you write it like this?
Yes, of course.
Okay. I'm just giving you the worst case scenario. I'm just telling you. Okay.
Yeah.
Think quickly.
Think quickly, yes. 22nd. I write the 22nd of October.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, okay. With the ND, right?
Yeah. So does that count? Yes?
Yeah, it counts, yes. No problem.
Okay. Good.
Manuja, did you write it correctly?
Yes, she spelled it.
But did you write it correctly?
Yeah, I did this time.
All right.
It wasn't that long because the road thing, it was long, so I just got confused maybe.
Yeah. But this is common, by the way. They always have one or two which are spelled, and usually they're sort of complicated names and they spell them, and they depend on your spelling skill. So if you lose a number, sometimes it's a phone number, by the way, and it's a long number, usually 7 to 9 numbers, and they say them quickly, and if you lose a letter, lose a number, I mean, you're going to lose it. Okay, so you've scored 8 out of 10, which isn't too bad for a first time. It's okay. Now, what about 11 to 12 to 20? Branch?
I wrote branch. Branch. Yes.
Did you write another word with it?
No.
Just branch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. West?
West, yes.
Clothing?
Clothing, no. I didn't write clothing.
What did you write?
Unfortunately. Equipment.
14? 10? Did you write 10?
10, yeah, 10 days, yes.
Running?
Running, no. I didn't try running. Why? Oh.
What did you write?
Maybe, oh, I got that wrong. Football? What did I write? Football.
Okay, if it's not running, it doesn't matter.
It's okay, I didn't, that's wrong, that means okay.
Bags?
I write sports bags together. So, I don't know, I don't remember. They want one answer? What? Yeah.
If sports isn't here.
What? Why?
It's not, sports is not given in the options. If sports is not written in brackets, like here. So it's, if sports is accepted, sports, usually you'll find sports like this in the brackets, then it would have been okay. But if it's just bags with no sports, it's not okay. But I'm going to check and see why sports is not okay. So let's go. And I think we can see why. This is in section 2. All right, here it is. No, this is 3. Section 2, we are doing sports bags. Which one is this? 15. Has a special section which sells. Grammatically, there's no problems. You could have said sports bags here. But if we're being strict to following the answer, following the answer key, if it's not in brackets, it's not accepted. It's usually that's how they work.
Okay.
And remember, we're taking the worst case scenario. We're giving the worst of the worst here.
Mm.
It's a bit depressing, I know, but it's better than the other way around. It's better
I thought
than,
I did.
yeah, because
Yeah.
at least this way you guarantee in the exam it won't get worse than this. If you get what I mean. And this is what we want. We don't want the real test to be worse than this. But this is how we used to work in 2017 when I used to work with them as an IELTS marker with reading and listening. This is if this was the model answer we were given, this is how we usually work. If it's not on the options, because the brackets indicate an optional word, just like answering the phone, it's the same story.
Mm.
So that's why we have to count it now as wrong. And maybe it's a one word. I think it might be a one word question. We didn't check. Let me see if it's a one word question. There's a very big chance it's a one word question. Because if it is, then no way you can write more than one word. Aha, D.C.
Oh, okay. My fault.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
So it's that's the real reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a one word question. But either way, I'm even just from following the model answer, it's already a no. Okay, so we have that. Okay, do you have AA in 17?
Yep. A, and E.
No, I mean 17, 18.
Yeah.
AA.
Yep.
And then AE.
Yes.
All right, that's nice. So you have 7 here, not bad. Okay, now section 3. Okay, you can just mention the letters and I'll mark the ones that are right or not.
Okay. That's wrong. I did A, C,
Okay.
B. That's right. A, C. I don't know, 26. I didn't write the numbers right. Oh, that's a B. Yeah, B, A, B, C, B. Yeah.
All right, so this is a good section. Okay, the last one.
The last one, I did tides.
So that's correct, because it's, you see, both are correct. Okay. 32, what did you write?
I didn't get it, so I left it.
Okay, big mistake. Don't
0. Yeah.
Okay, what did you write?
Plants or animals?
Plants and animals, right?
It was like 2 spaces, plants or animals. Like so, the answer is plants and animals.
Yeah, but you wrote them both, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, because in this question, if both are required,
Yeah, because they're two complete spaces.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
34.
Feeding. Yeah, I did feeding.
Mm-hmm.
Noises. I did noises.
Mm-hmm.
Healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Social. I don't know why I have social here. I don't know. Group. I don't know if I left it blank or not. Maybe I left it. I have like, I've written social, leader, and networks. So I think I didn't answer that.
Maybe you forgot
No,
this one.
maybe I forgot it. Yeah.
If you have these three, were these the last three? Social.
Yeah, the last three are social and leader and networks.
All right. This means you've got A here, 8. So you've missed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 7, 8 points. That's 32. It's well into 7. Maybe 7.5. I'm not sure, but it's 7. Do you know why? Because 7 starts from 30. So 32 is definitely a 7.
Yeah, I could have done better with the spelling of the road, and what else did I get wrong? The bag.
Yeah.
The bag thing was actually right, but I wrote sports bag.
Yeah. This means your actual range is in 7.5. And the challenge would be for you to get an 8. You should be able to really, really push it and maybe get an 8. Actually, we can check. Let me very quickly. I think we can check the list on Google, because I don't remember from 7.5 where does it start from, but it probably starts from maybe 34. Let's see.
It's not, I think the listening is not that hard if you really focus on it.
Yeah, it's
reading, I think, is more.
Yeah, I agree. It's not
the difficulty.
Yeah, it's not too hard. You just need to really pay attention. That's all. You need to be a little focused. Let's see. Is this listening or reading? I think this is for the listening. Let's just make sure. Yeah, this is a 7.5. If this is listening, I'm not sure, because this might be reading.
Seven? 32. 7.
Okay, so let's see this. Let's clear this mess. Okay, so listening is, here it is. So you've scored 7.5. I think with a little more attention, you could have gotten.
Yeah.
You could have scored an 8 with a little work, maybe on spelling and paying attention to the questions, maybe, which is really nice, which is really good. So you don't have any real problems with listening, I think. If you really want to push yourself to get an easy 8, you just need to drill more of these. That's all. And this, in the same book we've just used, you have 3 more of these tests. So just go through them all, and I think you should be okay. Okay, we had a disconnection with the Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Okay, it's just the camera froze. Okay, let's see Rima. Rima's been a little quiet. Rima, are you still with us? I think Rima is probably maybe stuck. Let me go back. Let's see. Did you mark your Did you check your results, Rima? I think maybe she's not near the phone. Anyways, this was listening. We can do a little very quick review, talk about things we covered. So so you can check these things in the recording. Let me just get this started. Okay, so let's very quickly sum up the whole thing. So listening, you have 4 sections. Section 1 and Section 2, these are your social sections. 3 and 4 are your academic sections. Number 1 is a conversation. Number 3, Section 3 is also a conversation, but more than 2. Number 2 and number 4 are monologues. The difference is number 4, there's no pause in the track. So the whole thing will be done together, so you need to skim. And you need to pay attention to the questions. Are the questions, do they need 1 word? Do they need more? You need to pay attention to the spelling. What else? These are the rough guidelines, I think, for listening. There isn't much more than that. And that's it. That's it, I think, for listening. Hopefully next lesson we'll do the same, and I think we can cover all the basics with speaking. I'll also prepare a few videos of different band scores, the 6s and the 7s and the 8s, so you can see the difference between them. And there's one, I think, that even got a 9. I think there's one who got a 9.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That'll be nice to see.
Yeah. It was really interesting, and I think he was Spanish. The thing, they gave him a 9. They don't your accent or the way you speak isn't taken into consideration if your speaking is clear. Do you get the idea? Just like the examples we heard from the foreigners in Section 3, if you remember. They clearly didn't have a native accent, but they didn't make any grammatical errors. Their vocabulary range was excellent. You get the idea? Of course, they're actors.
Yeah.
They're beyond the accent. But the point is, even in your real test, if you have a non-native accent, they don't care. As long as everything else is right, then you will get a very high score. So this is our goal. Next lesson, we'll do this next lesson. For now,
can I ask a question? Roughly, how long do you think one should spend before reading before entering the exam? Do you think 2 weeks, 3 weeks, like with hard reading?
Reading.
Preparing. I mean, preparing for the exam.
Sorry, I didn't get your question exactly. What's your point?
How long do I need to prepare before I enter the exam? That's my question. So like, yeah.
You mean how much reading practice you need to do?
Yeah.
As much as you can, as much as possible.
No, because I checked the website, and guess what? It's all full for August. So they are actually running the exam, and I was thinking like maybe the end of August. So there's September. I think beginning of September, it says like 95% is available, and then I think 12th of September or something. So they're running the exam here. That's good news. I sent them an email to inquire about it, so hopefully they reply. Someone's in control there.
Yeah, sure. That would be a good plan, I think. You can start with reading right now. I mean, you're now familiar with all the question types, which is a great thing. So you can just go through any reading exercises now accessible to you, and you should be able to do it and get better at it. And you need to time yourself. My advice for your reading practice is, if you can't answer it under the time you give yourself, you'll have to stop. You get the idea? So for example, if you're doing a full passage 1 or 2 or any of these in this book, the mock test book, if you're doing a full passage, right, give yourself 20 minutes. If you're not done in the 20 minutes, you have to put your pencil down, whether you've reached question 10, 11, 12, 19, whatever it is, you put your pencil down and you mark yourself, and that's your grade. It has to be like this, because otherwise your mock tests won't give you a good indicator of what you'll score on the real test. Do you get my point? So you need to be really tough on yourself during your mock test. You need to really stick to the time limit and get better under this strict time limit. This is how it is with reading. And every day, just keep doing. Even if you're tired, even if you're busy, even if you're bored, do one passage. This is your minimum. One passage is your minimum. Each passage has about 13 to 14 questions. So if this is your bare minimum and you're doing one of these per day, and I'm sure you have enough material to cover all of this and even more, because there are lots of these mock test books, by the way. Each book of this has 12 passages, because you have 3, 3, 3. In each exam, you have 3 passages. So there's a wealth of material you can keep practicing with. So my advice is just keep on going until you get to the exam. Think of it as fitness training or something. You just have to do it every day. It's something you need to do without an exception. This is my advice with reading, because theoretically speaking, the concept of the questions, you don't have any conceptual problems. You get the questions. So now the only thing left is just drilling again and again and again. It's like this. With writing, it's of course another story, because there are a few little tricks. The sort of 7-band score, not tricks, but things they check for when they're marking part of your 7-band score criteria. If you have them, you'll get a 7. If you don't, you won't get it. It's just like this. If it's there, they'll find it. The examiners will detect it. You'll get your 7. Otherwise, you won't get it. And so hopefully we can cover this, but we'll definitely be done before your exam. If your exam is in September, I don't think this course will go on till then. With speaking, we'll just need another lesson like this, just one day.
No, it's okay. I was thinking about the end of August, so like it's all full, so I'll be taking maybe September. I'll choose a date. I don't know, whenever I'm ready.
Yeah, because like I said, we covered reading, which was sort of long. Speaking will take another day, and then all we have is we've done listening now. All we have is writing, and we can take writing at our ease. We'll cover introductions on their own. Get really good at introductions, the body, the little tips, little tricks. There are a few things. I might give you a few sort of writing assignments, and there's also vocab. Vocab is essential in writing. There's this advanced vocab, IELTS vocab book. It's pretty challenging, and the level is really good, but it's full of vocab. I've used it before with one of my students. She managed to get 7. We did study for a very long time, because she wasn't as good as you and Rima, and I think you're better. But we used it a lot, and it was really good. It did make a change and did have an effect. So I might give you that. I'll send it as a PDF. I highly advise you do as many units or chapters. They're in lessons actually, and they have the general vocabulary part, and they have the specific topic-specific vocab. So for example, with topic-specific vocab, you have the environment, and there's a whole set of exercises with different words about the environment. Another one about business, another one about education, another one about agriculture, another one about, and so on. So we might start using that when we get to the writing, because I do want to boost your vocabulary range. It is one of the criteria, vocab. Your vocabulary range will be taken into account when they mark your writing. So you need to start using words in your writing which you don't use in your speaking, obviously, because writing and speaking, even though they're both productive skills, they're very different. The range of vocab you need to use in your writing should be much bigger or wider than your range of vocab in your speaking. So I think that's it. That's the rough plan. Next lesson, we can sort of cover any points we have in speaking, see a few model answers, and then we can start with writing. I'm still curious, Rima didn't say how much you scored, but anyways, whatever you scored, just keep on working on it, Rima, even whether it's good or bad. I don't know what it is you scored, but at least you have the book, because I sent you a copy of this book. So if you did the exams with us, Rima, it would be a good idea to check your answers and see how much you scored. So that's all for today. I think if you still have questions or anything, just if I promised to send something and I didn't, of course I forgot about it already, so just remind me in the comment section. And I think that's it. Do you have any questions? Aya, Rima, anything?
No. No, thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, and I'll see you next time. Good night.